This is for Year 11 Methods. It comes out of Chapter 5. It's 5G questions 1, 2 and 3. For each of the following, find the inverse function and state its domain and range. Okay, so this is for C. The inverse function will be the set If I swap this around, I'll get 3, 3. If I swap this around, I'll get -4, -2. I'll get -1, -1, and -1, -8. That is the inverse set. If this was set A, then this is the inverse of A. Find the state, the domain and range of the inverse. So the domain of the inverse of A will be the set so it will be the domain. So it's going to be the x values: -4, -1, 1 and 3, and the range of the inverse will be the y values, which will be -8, -2, -1 and 3. For each of the following, find the inverse function, state its domain and range. Well, this is my original. My original has a domain, so the domain of f is all real positive numbers, and f looks like from 4 up, and it's an open circle at 4, so the range of f is going to be 4 to infinity, but not inclusive of 4, because that is 0 to infinity, not inclusive of 0. So before I even start, I can state and get my answers for the domain of the inverse of f will be 4 to infinity, and the range of the inverse of f will be 0 to infinity, or r plus. So I've already got my answers and I've got my marks for range and domain. So how do I find the rule? So y equals x plus 4 of my original. When I swap them, I've got x equals y plus 4, so y equals x minus 4, therefore the inverse function is going to be x minus 4. And part 3, find the inverse function of each of the following, state the domain and range of the inverse. So this is my original. My original is a parabola that has a turning point at 2 and 3. And it would normally draw like this. However, this has a restricted domain of 2 to infinity, so I'm going to get rid of this half. So my original starts here, square bracket, because that's a square bracket, so that's inclusive. So the domain is 2 to infinity, so the range of f will be 3 to infinity. So straight away I can get some answers over here. The domain of the inverse will equal 3 to infinity, because it will be the range of the function, and the range of the inverse will be the domain, which is 2 to infinity. And if I work out the equation, I know y equals x minus 2 squared plus 3. If I swap, therefore x equals y minus 2 squared plus 3. X minus 3 equals y minus 2 squared. Y minus 2 equals the square root of x minus 3 plus or minus. Therefore y equals 2 plus or minus the square root of x minus 3. Since my range goes from 2 to infinity, I'm only going to include the positive square root, because that will give me y values of 2 to infinity. So if I just pick a different colour, the inverse function will equal 2 plus the square root of x minus 3. That's its domain, that's its range.